for me because he coming down again. Yeah, and I would just run away. And I would always run away to the nearby breezeway and just, sit in the breezeway and cry. Miss Mary would sit down and tell me all these stories about parenting, decision making, and things like that. We would sit there and talk, and then she would have one of the boys take me up back home. Yeah, it's like there were at least 30 houses on each side of the terrace, but it seemed like at some point, like only half of the terrace knew one another. I think there were about two people who lived down the other end of the terrace who actually interacted with everybody else. And everybody else down that end was like strangers. But that whole heroin thing, man, moved in, rapidly. Started getting a lot of houses broken in. They broke in our house one time, man. Me and my sister were upstairs and sleep. My mother worked overnight. And these jokers broke into the house, sat down at the kitchen table, ate all the candy. Yeah, they ate all sweets. It's a big thing for heroin addicts to eat not sweets. They didn't come up there and mess with us, thank God. But they took everything. They took the television, they took the stereo, they took the peanut butter and jelly, they did everything, man. My mother came home the next morning like, it was living. Sometimes we have, the neighbors from hell who you wish would move, get kicked out, don't pay the rent or something. You got to go. Yeah, but again, that heroin thing, man, just robbed the whole environment, man, of a lot. But we spent many days in that field across the street from the house playing so many games of baseball, man. I was glad we lived across from there because I couldn't go off the terrace, but I could always go across the street because my mother could see where I was. So we played a lot of football, a lot of baseball. Hell, I didn't weigh but a couple of ounces, but it was always fun. I said I wasn't going to make just another love song, right? I didn't want to do a love song at all. But it's unavoidable, man. As a human being, you come into contact with people every day, man. And some you connect with, some you reject. Your spirit just rejects your mouth. Just get away. It's like you run first, run. That kind of mindset, right? But when you find somebody, man, who you really vibe with, right? That's the easy thing, especially if you got a caretaker person. They just like lure all the problem children, But anyhow, so what the thing about love is, man, it's an action word, right? And you just have to learn not just how to love somebody the way you want to love them, but you have to learn how to love somebody the way they need to be loved. You have to protect me, baby. In this place, nuts, berries, and fruits, rivers of milk and honey, silk and brocade, suit, paradoxical enlightenment, spirits running free, creations in pairs, just one made like me, a servant to the core, toiling hand and foot, the morning dew upon my body, it clings to me like soot, prostrating on a daily, all praises due, balance and tranquility, he said she bring to you, if three of us together, formulate the twine, a cord cannot be broken, relies upon the divine, it's not the voice of reason that tore us from this place, an unconscionable intuition made us have a taste, I'm not lost without you. of our purpose. Spirits in disarray, buried beneath our surface. Masquerading representatives, no fear of the one above. Dramatic indentations, scarring the ones we love. Ordained from conception to care for and protect. What he gave in her from him would help us live right. With free will in our being and it gone unchecked. Internal strife may need to wipe more than one. I did select. The appointed will bring us guidance. Heed the words they say. Patiently persevering. Remembrance the only way. I'm not lost without you. With you, I went away. No one love no more. Been married before. I gave my love to you. Spoke promises, not idle chatter. Kept my word, reciprocated absurd. My life to you didn't matter. You told me that you loved me. Malicious covert game to play. Selfishly combated. Compromise was not your way. Vacillating spirit. Cognitive dissonance and command. Reject my role of leader. Just create me as a man. Loving me is easy. Display attributes of him. Bad lady from the start. Married life with you was grim. Treated like an object. Placed upon the shelf. Use me when you wanted to. Thought all about yourself. I'm not lost without you. With you, I went away. I would love no more. Been married before. You know, it's like Tina once said, what's love got to do? You know, a lot of people debated that statement. But Tina was right. You see, you got to learn how to not only love a person the way you know how to love, but you have to love the way they need to be loved. You know, I can tell you how to love me, how to handle me. Yeah, because you got to know how to handle me, right? You got to learn how to handle my heart, my mind, my spirit, right? You have to have a go-to source, you know, the same one that I use. Yeah, God. Because if that ain't your go-to source, well, this is, you got a go-away source, because this ain't gonna last, baby. Yeah. So, let's get it right. Uh-huh.
What's going on, cousin? Good morning.
She was easy to talk to, a great sense of humor. Shared intimate stories how men groomed and doomed her. Promised me right from the start she had planned. Being my one and only, being a man. On the phone for hours, every week fresh flowers. Often reminded her the world can be ours. When first we made love, after drinks and dinner, I thought for sure I had me a winner. Representative disappears, another woman fractured. Wasted all my years, once again I'm captured. Representative disappears, another woman fractured. Wasted all my years, once again I'm captured. I'm deep inside of her, my secrets I confide in her. Jealousy arising her, unresolved trauma riding her. Dissonance driving her, past betrayals blinding her. Wanted me minding her, bad habits how unkind to her. wanted me to sacrifice all of myself, get lost in her love and nothing else. Said she'd give me a chance to win her love, my dreams, no matter she was above.
Girl Mom for life.
Representative disappears, another woman fractured. Wasted all my years.
Once again, I'm captured.
Representative disappears, another woman fractured. Wasted all my years, once again I'm captured. Rhythmic quivers, satisfying sighs, standing up in it, hear her passionate cry. Painfully pleasing, falling into the abyss. Lord, I never knew a love like this. Fall back in ecstasy, acrobatic shift. Her clit in my mouth, her hips start to lift. Her juices on my chin, 2 fingers take a dip. A hand on my head, mine gripping her head. Representative disappears, another woman fractured. Wasted all my years, once again I'm captured. Representative disappears, another woman fractured. Wasted all my years, once again I'm captured. The feeling's irreplaceable, indescribable at best. For her it's all or nothing, of me it's all a test. Her insecurities beyond measure, her heart I do treasure. Leaving me never, wasting means clever. Exploring innate tendencies, no doubt a true connection. All mere desires, superficial affection. Somehow this turns into love, not just a chance encounter. Ass and elbows before me, wanting me to mount her. Representative disappears, another woman fractured. Wasted all my years, once again I'm captured. Representative disappears, another woman fractured. Wasted all my years, once again I'm captured. Been married before, all who I did adore. All ended the same, me walking out the door. Sexual satisfaction, just a distraction. Time to problem solve, victim reaction. Every conversation laden with accusation. Quiet as is kept is just her frigid adaptation. Sex is what she wants, a lover of her own. Commitment has her haunted, again she's all alone. Representative disappears, another woman fractured. Wasted all my years, once again I'm captured. Representative disappears, another woman fractured. Wasted all my years, once again I'm captured. I'm captured. I'm captured. I'm captured. Once again I'm captured. I'm captured. I'm captured. I'm captured.
Yep. Once again. Once again, once again, once again. Propaganda. Yep. All around us. And one of the things that we often miss is that we are a significant part of spreading the word. Yeah. I'm not talking about the word. I'm talking about the word. The propaganda word. What is the word? What exactly are we talking about when we talk about propaganda? Right? And we usually don't equate our actions with the spreading of propaganda. Propaganda has an intent. The intent is to deliver a thinking, a concept, an idea, a way of living, a way of voting. Right? We hear these great, wonderful speeches of late from the DNC, the RNC. We see these great conventions. We see billions of dollars being spent combined, billions of dollars being spent on candidates. Now, I don't know about you. There's some people that I really do like out there in the world. But when you start looking at putting millions behind a person in an effort to assist them with sitting on any seat, whether it's the presidency, whether it's Congress, whether it's Senate, whether it's the ombudsman, I don't care what. But when you start putting money behind people, you sure as hell expecting something back. You sure as hell got something to do for me. But what about those of us who are not putting any money behind anybody, but only putting ourselves behind somebody, only putting ourselves out there as a supporter of the particular narrative? What about those people? See, when you're spending money to back people, there's a different outcome. When you're not spending money, there's a worse outcome. Because what we have now is this so-called woke culture, and I still have no idea what it means to be woke. I was awakened back in the 60s when I found out that raising my fist meant that I was going to get it, that I was letting nothing stand in my way, that I was going to fight the power, right? That was black excellence then. That was awoke then. Don't fall for the okie doke. Don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe, the Jedi mind trick, because they're coming for you. No matter what level of social status you retain, physically or within your mind, they're coming for you. So fight the power. That was woke for me. This other stuff about sexuality, race, religion, all that stuff, nah, that ain't woke. It's pure stupidity. Gays, lesbians, trans was always in existence. I have friends who were gay. I have friends who are lesbian. I have, been around that community way back before many even knew about anything beyond their own heterosexual existence. Nothing new. Human beings, regular people. Race, I grew up in the projects in South Philadelphia. Many of my little friends were white. We were just having fun. See, then we were being good people, right? Just being good people, right? Who were faced with, as blacks, an enemy. Because those same people that I played with every day were being exposed to the races who were outside of the projects that I lived in. Because when we walked back and forth to school, we were faced with, as black children, the taunts, the attacks of racist whites in South Philadelphia and Southwest Philadelphia. I hadn't done much beyond until traveling in other areas until the 70s, but South Philadelphia was the centerpiece for hate, right? But the white friends that I had in the project, they were subjected to the very same thing, right? Especially if they were with us, because now they're nigger lovers, So, it's been there. So what's woke? And I had the option then that I could have hated even those little friends because I could have associated them, equated their existence with the same hateful existence as those racist whites. I could have had the same perception of them. We didn't learn hate in my home. We were taught what to look for, what to expect out of the society that we now live in, that we will soon become adults in. That's what we were taught coming up. My mother never taught us to hate anyone. I never heard any those caretakers, my grandparents didn't talk about hating whites. My aunt and uncle who raised me for some years didn't talk about hating whites. That wasn't something that I was taught in my household. Even being exposed to it. These were just bad people that we encountered that happened to be white. But there's another side of the conversation that is seldom heard, that is often not held. And that's the same acts that I was exposed to by whites outside of the project, I was exposed to and subjected to by blacks within the project. That's a conversation that's never had. The violence that comes off of our tongues, the hatred that we spew out of our own mouths towards one another is seldom a conversation that is had. Very seldom. There was a post somebody put on social media the other day, and then the brother was talking about slavery, the slave master, and all these different things like that. And and I don't respond to a whole lot of posts. I don't. I may repost things without thought. You figure it out for yourself. But I responded in there saying that the conversation seldom had is that Africans sold their own people into slavery. So some slick mouth Negro who could barely put a sentence together decided that he wanted to tell me that it was asinine. He got that word. He wants to look that one up. That it was asinine for me to have to make such a response to the poster. I don't do the back and forth, so I left it where it was. But again, whenever blacks are faced with having to have the conversation, having your own responsibility, have to, be held accountable for how we treat one another, nobody wants to have that conversation. Everybody, oh yeah, you thinking like that's how the slave master wants you to think. Yeah, that's how Uncle Tom and calling people coons and what it just the list just goes on and on and on, but never wanting to look at that. I'm 63 years old. I've watched all the things that have transpired throughout the years of my life, and I haven't seen any betterment of relationships between blacks. Have not seen an improvement. But yet we keep having these conversations about what whites in America need to do for us to do better. There's nothing that they can do for us to make us do better. We can have a perfect criminal justice system. We can have a balance in the imbalance with incarceration rates. We can have everything that we keep saying we need, and we will still be in the same condition. We know there's been changes for blacks in America. We know that. But like Malcolm said, you can't pull the knife halfway out of my back and call it progress. But what's most important to understand here is that we keep putting the knives in the backs of our own brothers and sisters and then blaming them for it, victimizing them, victimizing us, and then telling us it's our fault. And why people, so-called learned people, continue to ride on this alleged Willie Lynch speech right, as any kind of value is beyond me. Excuse me, y'all. It's an alleged speech. I researched the speech. The person didn't exist. The person doesn't exist. There is no Willie Lynch. There is no Willie Lynch. Do the research yourself. I did a piece on that. Look back on my education, my Severe Liam educational station. There was no Willie Lynch in regards to writing of this speech. The ones that they have found had nothing to do with the writing of a speech of such. Somebody compiled some information that made some damn sense about how we are divided. They did the same in the Bible. So it wasn't like it's new information. To control any one person, anybody can sit down and think of, just by observing a human being's behavior, can figure out how I control this person. They know how to piss you off. They know how to bring you to them. They know how to make you believe that you are the one who's going to care for them. If you follow this way. But these are learned people. But again, it's conversations that we don't have. And the question is why? Why don't we have this conversation? Why do we continue to look at whites in America as the enemy, right? When at the end of the day, all of us are subjected to the tyranny of those who are in power. And those who are in power ain't the ones we voting for. They're not the ones we're voting for. They're puppets. They're corporate people. It's nothing but a big corporation. That's what America is. And if you don't know that, that's another place to start to understand and learn what America is. Excuse me, y'all. No, I'm not crying. It's a sensitive subject. But I'm not crying. My eyes watering up with that. So when we start looking at propaganda, we have to look at, why am I so sensitive about the subject matters I'm talking about? What influences my thinking? What influences my desire to want to give to you every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock the information that I'm given? Because propaganda, right, is the spreading of any information with the intent of swaying a person's beliefs, their values, their thoughts, right? So let's be clear. That's what propaganda is. So Daddy's Right Here Live can be considered propaganda if you look at the definition. Because what is the purpose of Daddy's Right Here Live? Well, Daddy's Right Here Live, right? Right? The narrative is based on what? Daddy's Right Here Incorporated, a nonprofit family services organization that seeks to decrease father absenteeism. That's our narrative. That's our narrative. That's my narrative as the founder and president. That's my narrative. So anytime I'm interacting or engaging parents, especially parents who are at odds with one another and causing the child to have continued suffering and unresolved, my narrative for Daddy's Right Here. So let's be clear. Let's be clear. The information that we continue to receive every day, right, from our own social media feeds is the most dangerous. I don't spend a lot of time on social media for anything other than business. Daddy's Right Here. Business. Aleem For You, LLC. business. If there was another way that I could reach the masses than to be on Facebook, to be on Instagram, to be on those platforms, I would not be on them. It is the most dangerous place to be because you walk away from a 5-minute view of your social media. You walk away from that with such an array of emotions. It's unbelievable. The psychological effect that these social media feeds have on somebody is unbelievable. There's no doubt in my mind that we have a problem with law enforcement. No doubt in my mind that there's a problem with law enforcement. Now, when we look at the percentage of officers, who have been involved in not just murders, because I'm going to call that what it is, not just murders of individuals, especially black individuals, right? When we look at the percentage, we ask ourselves, there's a much larger percentage that don't act in that way. But why haven't they done anything? Why don't they do anything? Right? So you have black officers who observe behavior upon black people that is not appropriate, that's not in alignment with policy and procedure, that violates people's constitutional rights. They stand there, they watch it, they observe it. Not to say they don't say anything about it. So let's be clear on that too. Just because you don't see me act doesn't mean that I'm not acting. Because I have police officers as friends. And I hear all the war stories about the different conflicts and controversies that go on within the department, on the street, in the locker room. They exist. This is humanity. This is part of humanity. This is what we do as human beings. That's never going to change. But when you represent just the blue line, you're no longer black. We've seen in the feeds how when black officers have responded to the wrongdoings of an officer on a scene, how that turns out. It's not good. It's not good. But for any society to have the expectation that you act without the humanity that God gave you, they're playing an entirely different role with you as a human being. They're playing God. But most importantly, you're allowing them. You're allowing them. Because there's no way I'm going to stand there and see somebody who looks like me have their constitutional rights violated without warrant. Being a cop is not an easy job, especially when it's more of them than it is of you. The amount of police officers in our communities is not even a drop in a bucket. We know that. They know that, and they have to control the streets. I get that. But when you lose sight of your own humanity, when you see what's happening to your own every day and think you're exempt, that's another part of your confusion. As a black officer, that's another part of your confusion. Because when it happens to you, when it happens to your friends, your family, your loved ones, then it's a different lens. Now you want to act just like those who are not behind that badge. You see what happens here? You can't be loyal to anyone but yourself, first and foremost. And if you allow something to compromise your humanity, you have to live with that. Don't think because it didn't happen to you because you weren't directly involved because, hey, that's what he did. It ain't on you. It's on you too. It's on you too. Because you know better. You know better. But you protect and you defend the blue and not the black. Blacks have their own perceptions of other blacks. Whites have their own perceptions and perspectives of other whites. You have some whites refer to other whites as trailer trash, right? Why do they have that perception? They may not even live in a trailer, but they can say that. But why do they have that perception? Wiggers, they call each other all kind of different names. But if you watch the media, you wouldn't see that. You would think that the white community are pristine communities. That they're these very devout, loving people, and that blacks are the animals. That's what is projected in the media. That's why you see who you see on the news. That's why as soon as somebody black does something, you don't hear in the news report a man was taken into custody. No, a black man was taken into custody. It's important that that is emphasized. Here's another one. But we call it racist when whites say, we don't want you in our community because when you move into the community, stuff changes. Things wind up missing. Conflicts and fights wind up happening. Why? Because you know amongst your own people, there are racists and that those racists are going to make it difficult. So is it necessarily that because you're black, I don't want you here because you bring trouble from other blacks or y'all act this way and act that way? Or is it because I know there are racists in this community who ain't going to go for this and it's not going to be good? We automatically assume that these whites just don't want us moving in their community because they hate us. No, sometimes it's what we bring forth from other people who live in their communities, who are in their own families. Come on. Let's be real here. We don't have that conversation. How many times do you sit in your house and you hear gunshots and you be like, hey, these niggas again? But in the same breath say, I don't use that word. Well, no, it may not be part of your regular conversation, but as soon as something happens, what's the first thing we say? What happens when we see new folks moving into the community? We look at the kids, we see if the kids are, how the kids are dressed, their nose is snotty and all kind of stuff. Does she have one of those things on her head and the slippers and the pajama stuff? What is she bringing in? What is he looking at him? Got his pants hanging off his behind. Oh, they listen to the music. They come up here banging the music and howling and cussing at the kids. We've already made those judgments and just don't even know those people. And if you grew up in the hood, a lot of times it's just that way, but that don't make us bad. In the hood, listen, in the projects, yeah, we fought each other. We went through some changes, but guess what? We helped each other. I could get a cup of sugar. Yeah. Even while they tell me, well, you need to get a job and you know, you come, this is every week. I'm getting ready to put you on my income tax return. You know what I'm saying? You're saying the Jess was still helping you. We sat out on the steps and we walked through the projects all times of night, all times during the course of the day. And we sat on different people's steps and we knew each other and we had conversations, right? So don't tell me there wasn't no unity. We've just turned our neighborhoods into hoods, right? And we haven't made we've made no changes with that. Trump nor Harris can change that. That's not going to change that condition. So we get caught up in all these different things, all these different agendas, all this propaganda, and we still ain't lived life yet. We still ain't figured out what the hell we going to do to make a life better for us and our children. Because we so busy looking towards the government to do it. The government's not going to do it. That's not their job. That's your job. That's my job. I'm not looking for the government to do a damn thing for me. Just think about it, man. Nothing has stood in the way of my progress but me, ever in life. I'm not one of them brothers running around. Well, the white man didn't let me do this, and the white man stopped me from. I'm not one of them brothers. I'm not one of them brothers to have the conversation with. For what? That's part of the propaganda to keep you thinking that way, to keep you focused on the fact that I need you to help me live a better life. And until you change, people in the White House, until you do something different, I'm going to protest. I'm not going to get a job. I'm going to stay on public assistance. I'm not going to try to do better because it's easier to complain. It works. It works. Right? It works. But we're so caught up in it that we don't see how it's working. We pass it on. And you look at your feed and you don't understand algorithms and how, like, if you spend a certain amount of time looking at something, it puts something else just like it back in front of you. So if you see two posts right in your feed within a 15-minute time span, let's say, let's give it 5. We'll give it a lesser time. Show you how powerful this thing is. In 5 minutes, you see 2 posts of a police-involved incident, whether it's a traffic stop, whether it's just a cop slapping the hell out of somebody, right? You see in 5 minutes, you've seen that. Just before that, you saw a person get out of their vehicle on the highway and help a sloth off of the road, right? Before that, you were watching somebody make some shrimp fried rice and how good that looked. Now, I want you to look at how many emotions you went through in just that 5 minutes. Now, I want you to look at. Now you're on it for 30 minutes. You're on it for an hour. How many police-involved incidents did you see? How many that involve blacks only? How many did you see? How many of them do you currently follow because you want to keep an eye on the police? How many? How many of those the ones with the people, pedestrians helping an animal? How many did you follow the poster of that? How many of those do you follow? How many of those food posts do you follow? You have to look at, if you go right now and you look into your phone and you see what you follow, that's what keeps you going. That's always going to be your defense when it comes to how come you're not at a certain place or how come you're at a certain place in your life within your being. When you look at the music you listen to, right? Look at your playlist. What are you listening to? That is who you are. That is who you have become. That is what you are shaped by. Look at everybody you follow. And this is something that I actually do as a clinical exercise with people, right? Draw a circle and put yourself in the middle of this circle. Draw a circle that represents you. Take and cluster five recording artists who you listen to on a regular basis. On a regular basis. That's daily. Right? Then take and group 5 family members who you interact with on a regular basis. Now, for some, it may be family that you see every day, but somebody in the family that you at least talk to with some regularity, right? Within a 30-day cycle. Then you take and look at everything else. If you read books, who are the authors? If you watch movies, What type of movies, right? Now, these are all the things that influence you. These are things that influence you. These are things that you live by. You have to understand that. You live by these things. Then you have to go back. Once you do all that, then you take each one of those items that's on there, and you say, okay, I listen to Biggie. Now you need to write a small paragraph of 90 to 120 words is fine. Uh, why do I listen to Biggie? I listen to Frank Sinatra. Okay, 90 to 120 word paragraph on why I listen to Frank Sinatra, and so on and so forth. See, you have to understand again, propaganda comes in many forms. In the 60s, there was a different theme for music, right? The 70s brought along another theme. Each one of those themes established a certain trends, values, beliefs, ideologies into society. Then we got to the 80s, another shift, and so on and so forth. And here we are um, in 2024 seeing another shift in music. We're seeing the return of real hip hop. The hip hop we came up on, the hip hop that was established in the 70s, right? We're seeing the return of varied artists. L just put out a new album, still kicking ass. And Big Daddy Kane, a host of others, MC Light, all these folks have coming back. Queen Latifah, Redman, right? All these folks are coming back. There's a shift happening again. Diddy is part of that shift. Again, propaganda, prop. A prop is what? Something that is placed before you to give the appearance of. Prop. Something that holds up something. So when you're sitting on the bed and you're watching TV, you use your pillows to do what? Prop yourself up so you can see differently. Prop. Prop again, right? So again, that's the title of this show. Prop again, duh. It's been there before. It's recycled. It's only recycled. Just think about it. Look, if you pay attention to what's happening in life, everything comes back. It comes back every 20 years, such and such happens. Every decade, there's something happening, right? When something happens, it's already been in a 10-year, basically, planning stage. You look at the first 5 years, right, is usually like the honeymoon period of a relationship, of a marriage. Then after that, the real stuff starts coming up, right? So figure this information is put out for the next 5 years. It's going to be great. Everybody's going to be on top of it. Everybody's going to be talking about it. It's going to be the best thing since sliced bread. Coming to year 6 and up to the 10th year is chaos, which is also a theory. Chaos works, right? Listen to me now. So those forward 5 years after the honeymoon period become a matter of conflict and controversy because now we're beginning to question it. We had so much fun with it. Sure, we had the debates about it, but now we're beginning to question and we're beginning to see truly the the Trojan horse that it is. Right? But by the time we figure it out, the next plan is put in place. The diversionary tactic. Here, we're going to give you something else. When you see what's happening today, right? You see in your feed what? I don't know what you're following, but like what's happening in Africa? Yeah. What's happening with the finances with BRICS, with these other countries that have organized to eliminate the American dollar? The American dollar is on its way out, right? And we sitting here just enjoying life every day, and we got other things on my mind, like that cop that just pulled somebody out of the car. We see that repeatedly. That keeps our mind off of what's really happening in the world, like the possibility of World War III happening. Where we have the Israel and Palestinian conflicts, right? We have Russia, we have China, we have North Korea, we have what's up, O? We have all these different countries that are sitting right outside of our borders, right? But our focus is on what? Diddy. Our focus is on what? Harris and Trump. Our focus is on what? Everything they put out there in our feed is part of the diversionary tactic, so we don't see it coming. Imagine sitting here right now watching this show, and all of a sudden the earth shakes because a nuclear bomb has hit the United States. Now you're like, oh snap, what's going on? Earthquake? Then you turn on the news. You have to pay attention to what's going on, right? Do you see more alerts on your television? They start doing these tests. You remember they used to do these tests every so often. How often have you seen them conducting these tests now? You got to pay attention to what's happening. But it's set up with social media that when you go into your feed, you're seeing the things that you have spent more time on. The longer you look at a post, the more it structures your algorithms to give you more of that information. And then by the time you leave out of the crib, you so wound up about police brutality and police murdering of us that you just see it. You see cop, and that's all you have in your mind. But remember, you started your day off with wanting to spend the day with your son, wanting to spend the day with your daughter and be happy. But now you've left out of the house and you're holding your child's hand and you're walking up the street and you encounter a police officer who's not even thinking about you, mind you. And you open your head about the possibilities of an interaction that's going to go to the left with you and this police officer when you supposed to be having a good time with your child. So, you get in your car and you're driving, and the cop just happened to be in that lane. And what goes through your mind now is planted now. It's planted now. Right? Trump. We keep hearing all these things about Donald Trump. Back in the 70s, when we heard about Donald Trump, we weren't hearing about, him being racist. We were seeing him in photos. We were seeing him in places. We were seeing him in Atlantic City. We were seeing him in New York. We were seeing him in Philadelphia. We were seeing him on television. We were seeing the shows. We were seeing all those things. And now in 2016, 2017, where he emerged as a possibility, then we started hearing the racist chants. True or untrue? Now we hear Kamala Harris. What we hear about, is she black? Is she black enough? Is she not black enough? Who said that she could be black? Why does she call herself when she's not black? How black are we? Am I black? Am I African? Am I an African American? Have you seen the pictures of our grandparents? Right, Darlene? I know you know. Have you seen our people? Have you seen the statuesque presence of self and the long, straight black hair, the pronounced noses? Right? Is that African? Is that Indian? Were the Indian red? Or were they black? Or were they brown? What were they? Do we know? Do you know? Were you there? Did you hit the ground too? Behind these other explorers and say, oh, yeah, look at that. They don't look like me. They don't look like me. Do we know? We question every incident that takes place in America. Why is it when we watch these so-called news reports about these wars going on, how come it's always the clean soldiers that we see? They're not in mud. Their weapons are not covered with filth. They got goggles on that are crystal clear. How can you see the same footage over and over and over again? How come what's going on in Aurora ain't been captured on the phones of people who live in Aurora? Everybody got a phone. How come we don't look in our feeds and we don't see Joe Splivengate with footage that happened with these immigrants? How come you don't see none of that? How can we keep hearing about it, but we don't see it? Prop. Remember what I'm saying to you. Prop again. Duh. It's not what you think it is. It's what they're telling us it is, and they're telling us for a reason. Remember, it began with, hold on. It began with it's immigrants. Then it moved into these are military age men. Military age men. Then it shifted again. Right? It shifted again from military age men to now Venezuelan gangs. The same footage is all we see. We haven't seen any additional footage, right? So we went from, right? People are seeking to get out of their war-torn countries. People are seeking to get out of countries that are run by cartels, right? They're seeking safety. Then it turned into politics. Oh, well, they dropped all these people off over here, so on and so forth. Again, it's already been planned what we're going to do, what they're going to do 10 years ago. They knew who was going to be running for president. They knew who was going to be running for vice president. You know they knew, but you act like you don't know. But look at the shift. So how is it we're watching TV and we're seeing thousands of military age men come here? Now, bring it up to speed today. What are we looking at today? If you're following it, World War III. So if we're looking at World War III and we're looking at the highest potential at this point for it to happen in America, well, we already have boots on the ground. It's already boots on the ground. Soldiers are here. We already have bases here. We already have National Guard stationed here. Now we have thousands of military-aged males here in the United States. I don't know what you think about it. Again, we all have our own thought process. But what do you think about it? Now that I've said it. But as long as you can keep watching Instagram, as long as you can keep watching Facebook and these other platforms and be disconnected from what's happening in the world and, latch on to these other things, won't see it coming. Won't see it coming. The next thing that you'll see one day is an alert coming across your television. Run! Yeah. Seek shelter now. That's what we're looking towards. I don't know what it is that you're looking towards. I don't know what it is that's in your mind. Yeah. So propaganda, right? When they had the shooting that took place, I forget what incident that was, but they were chasing whoever the perpetrators were. They were chasing them at night, and people heard only thing people heard was gunshots. Well, anybody who hears gunshots at night is not going to be walking towards the door, right? So that what they were after this person that did this big incident in America, and it escapes me at the moment. I'm not getting any younger. It doesn't come back real quick. But the people were talking about how they heard shots fired, and people were running and screaming and all this other stuff. And then they showed you during a news report that was talking about this particular thing. They drove the car. Now they could have went anywhere. They drove the car. The bullet-riddled car up the street and turned it so you can see it in front of the camera. Yeah. They didn't show you when they were jacking the car up. They didn't show you that. What they showed you was the car coming up the street in the tow truck. Now, again, everybody got a phone. You tell me why nobody saw anything, nobody knows anything. Only thing you heard was it was gunshots, and they caught him. They allegedly they caught him in the boat, hiding under somebody's boat, under the boat cover, or whatever. You see, certain people get captured, certain people don't get captured. They be unalived, is the term they use today. I just call it dead, right? You see all these things on television, and you don't question it. And as soon as you question it, as soon as you say, well, that don't make sense, yada, 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 first response for that is, well, you tell that to the families of those people who died. See, that's the diversionary tactic. Because now you're the asshole. You're being insensitive. Now, oh, you think it's not real? Well, how about all these dead people? How about these mothers who lost their sons and daughters and so on and so forth? How about that? That's what they do now. That's how weak this society has become. That's how dumbed down this society has become. This is how wicked this society has become. That they do things in plain sight. They piss on us and tell us it's raining. But we fall for it. Hook, line, and sinker. That's what happens. There's always a cover up. Nothing that we see is true. Everything you thought was the truth is not. What is the truth? The truth is, if you didn't see it, touch it, taste it, smell it for your damn self, it ain't true. You have to tell yourself that. You have to tell yourself that. Is what I'm saying true? What makes it true? Is it my truth? Am I propagandizing? Am I putting something up there that's an agenda from somewhere else for somebody else? No, I told you what my agenda is. Daddy's right here is my agenda. Helping fathers face and embrace their responsibilities. Seeking to bridge the gap between the father and the mother and or children of that family. That's my agenda. So this show is part of my narrative, my propaganda. Because how much from me are you getting that's objective and how much are you getting that's subjective? You're getting bits and pieces. Some of it is subjective, some of it is objective. If I lived it and I'm telling you I lived it, right? Is that object? Am I being objective or am I being subjective? Right? It's been my experience. Subjective. I haven't even gotten to the article yet, so I might have to have to do the article next week. But the article was from Psychology Today, the con of propaganda. To avoid being manipulated by propaganda, learn to recognize it. And the problem I have with the title itself is it says to avoid being manipulated by propaganda. Propaganda in the definition tells you very clearly that it's a matter of ideas, beliefs, and values that are delivered in information. And I just told you that Daddy's right here it puts out information. It's information. Just look the word up, right? So in this, see, when you hear propaganda, the first thing you think of is something that is actually intent on bringing harm, and that's not true. I had it pulled up on the screen. Let me pull it up for you real quick. See, that's one of the biggest problems that we have as human beings is that we have things at our disposal and we don't use them, and then we write propaganda. So here's the definition according to the definition from Oxford Languages: propaganda, information, especially of a biased or misleading nature, used to promote or publicize a particular political cause or point of view. Hold on, that's Oxford Language. Hold on. Wikipedia. Propaganda is communication that is primarily used to influence or persuade an audience to further an agenda which may not be objective and may be, well, I don't have the rest of it here. But again, information. Britannica. What is propaganda? Propaganda is the dissemination of information, facts, arguments, rumors, half truths, or lies to influence public opinion. Now, if you go back to the title of the article, again, propaganda, the article's title in itself shows its bias. The con of propaganda: to avoid being manipulated by propaganda, learn to recognize it. So, if propaganda is a dissemination of information, why is it here that I need to avoid it? I need to avoid being manipulated by it. But you also saw in definitions the bias. Oxford had a whole different view. Oxford stood on what most people believe propaganda is. Excuse me. Yeah, Oxford stood on that. This article stands on that. So this is why we have to make sure, excuse me, that we're learning, that we're not just riding on somebody else's narrative. If you watch the show, Daddy's Right Here Live every week, right? How is that shaping your opinion, right, of certain subject matter? All subject matter that is presented on Daddy's Right Here Live is always focused on changing thinking, because changing thinking changes behaviors. But you first have to believe that there's a need to change the thinking. And I can tell you, excuse me, I'm sorry, I got something in the throat. I can tell you that most people are not seeking to change. They're not. Once people get to the comforts, what they've established as being the baseline for their comforts in life, they don't need to change. Change for what? I'm good. I got an income. I got a woman. I got a man. I got my kids. I go out every Friday, to the club. I'm good. Change what? If she don't like it, she can leave. I just get another one. If he's sick of me, don't matter. I'm sick of him too. Already got another one. Whatever the case is. When people find their baseline of so-called happiness, of so-called content, of so-called satisfaction in life, they don't want to change. By God's grace and mercy, I'll be 64 tomorrow. And I still focus on change. I still focus on learning. I still focus on being better today than I was yesterday. I still focus on what I need to do to get out of this life and get the ticket through the pearly gates. That's how I live. I live to die. So I'm not concerned with death. You don't concern yourself with dying, right? When you're living right, when you're seeking to live right. I don't have a concern with death. Death is part of life. Life is death. Did somebody tell you want to live forever? Absolutely not. And if they did, they lied. You're watching too many vampire movies. But what I'm saying to you is, at the end of the day, right, you should you should be looking at, and you should be, especially if you have children, you should be looking at exactly what's going on in our society. The education system is going to be gone. Everything is going to be private. Listen to what I'm telling you. You figure it out. Figure it out. Yeah, figure it out. Prop again. Duh. You saw this before. You know that's the title. Prop. Look up the word prop. Break it down. Right? Look at the different definitions. If you look at the different, I just gave you 4 different definitions. Look at the origins. Wikipedia is liberal. Wikipedia's definitions are created by those who just type in some information and say, hey, this is what I think it is. Right? Oxford. What is Oxford? Where's Oxford's origin? What does Oxford represent? What is their narrative? Right? Are they red or are they blue? You understand? You got to look at all these things. When you start looking at origins, right? Not just origins of words, but origins of those who define those words, you'll learn a whole lot. It's propaganda. We're all part of that propaganda. Every time I post something, every time I repost something, whether it's something of mine that's coming from me, or whether it's something that somebody else posted, it's all propaganda. It's all information. It's all there. And in between all of that, you have bots. People establish these bots that are also putting in all of this information, right? So you can keep getting it. So you can walk out of the house angry, angry at your boss, angry at every police officer you see, black, white, or other, it doesn't matter. Angry, just angry at the high prices. Now we're getting ready to have another strike. So our ports are getting ready to be shut down again. Remember, prop again, duh. Why are they doing it? Why is this happening now? In 30 something days, you have a presidential election. Why is it happening now? Why did interest rates drop now? And the candidates they don't do nothing. Not Washington don't have nothing to do with the interest rates, but it's happening now for a reason. So you get interest rates that drop, yay, and then 2 weeks later you hear about a strike by longshoremen. So that means if the ports are shut down, everything's going up. Everything's going up. Did this happen before? Yep. Yep. So we can't use COVID this time. So it was COVID. Now we're going to shut the ports down again. We're going to have a whole lockdown. We won't be able to get gas, food, everything going to go up. So interest rates went down, but everything's going up. You got to pay attention to what propaganda is. It's a game, man. All of this is a game. So we have to be always on our game. Prepare for whatever may come. If death is coming, death is here. And you accept the death. If high prices are coming, you got to learn how to live with it. But you should be preparing for that because you know high prices are coming again. You know. How many times has the gas went up? How many times has the gas gone down? You have to look at all of these things, man. It's propaganda. It's a purpose that it serves. What's going on, Sheila? Good to see you, cousin. It's there. And then we sit in barbershops. And I ain't talking about your barbershop. But we sit in barbershops. We sit in beauty salons. We sit in the nail salons. We sit at bus stops. We sit around and we have these conversations and we swear by God, we know what the hell we're talking about. Only to find out next week that, that wasn't true. How many things have you seen on Puffy? Right? You see more and more of that. How many memes are you seeing on that? Right? right? So it's constant shifts that happen, man. Constant shifts. You have so-called assassination attempts, and you have a real assassination attempt. What's the purpose of that? That's propaganda. What's behind all of that? How did this actually happen? What did you actually see it happen? Do you know these people that they're showing you on TV? The person who just blew that up. Do you know him? Have you ever been to Venezuela? Have you been to Russia? Have you been to any of these places that they're showing you pictures of? Think about it. It's props, man. Everything we see is staged in some capacity. The incident is staged. Sure, there might have been some deaths. Collateral damage. That's life. That's really life. That's what happens, man. We're all collateral damage. In some way, shape, form, or fashion. Suffering. People suffering. That's collateral damage. For what agenda? For what agenda? What's the narrative that pushed a society to that position of living on the fringes of so-called normal society? That's real stuff, man. I'm just telling you, listen, who the hell am I? I'm just saying, think for yourself. Look at your own social media feeds and look at it for 30 minutes. Start right now, right after the show. At 11 o'clock, go on your social media, right? I don't care. You don't have to stay on one. Just whatever you do it for 30 minutes and then turn it off. Turn nothing else on. No TV, nothing. And sit there and you tell me how you feel. You tell me how you think. What's on your mind after those 30 minutes. And then you tell me how you feel. And then you walk out you just stand in your door, stand on your porch. You ain't got to go nowhere, stand there. And only thing that's in your mind is the last 30 minutes of viewing on your social media. And you tell me, am I right or am I wrong? Look, you don't have to believe me. That's propaganda. That's what it does. It's not just putting out hate literature. It's putting out anything that is going to move people in a direction of thinking that is desired by those in power. That's what the intent is. Music. Look at what your music has done to our society. Crack. Right? Look at cocaine. Look at the shift of music in the 80s. Look at what happened in the 80s. Right? The influx of powder cocaine. The real Rick Ross and what happened with that whole evolvement from LA to Paris and how devastated our communities were. What shift came after that? Now you got another marijuana. You got a marijuana shift coming. People excited. Oh yeah, great, wonderful marijuana. We're going to get marijuana. Now they're giving you the statistics. The statistics on, okay, now getting buzz can get you locked up. We're going to give it to you. Not the federal government, the state. We're going to give it to you. But just know that the feds still hold it as being a violation of the law. The feds still hold it as such. So all those charges are layered. So you find yourself with county, state, and federal charges on one case. You find yourself toting and keep talking about it's legal, now driving under the influence. How do you gauge that? You gauge by how much THC is in the weed. Well, you know when you start smoking it down and you get that res, we have a concentrated amount of THC, right? They trying to tell you that it's worse than alcohol, but we good with alcohol. But how many deaths happen annually by the use of alcohol? Come on, man. What you want to believe? You want the truth? because the truth is the lie. That's the lie. Ain't nothing real unless you actually participated in or saw it firsthand. None of it. It's all props. And it happens over and over and over again. And you have to see what it's doing to your life. How's it affecting your life? Just think for a minute. If you heard, if there's nothing but positive affirmations in your feeds, if every time you turn the TV, everybody was just frolicking through the fields with their afros, with the butterflies. Wow, the life. It's funny how they do that for the tampon commercials. It's like really weird. They have this person all happy, enjoying. Anywho, but it's like you have to look at life for what it really is, man, and pay attention to what's not being said. Look at what they're not telling you. Everything is entertainment. The news is entertainment. Movies are entertainment. Music, entertainment. Talk shows, entertainment. Here we watching dudes who we thought was real gangsters in the music industry, who are straight chumps, who ain't never been on the block, who ain't never sold nothing. But we thought they was real gangsters. Now we finding out a whole lot more about those in the industry. People who we thought was good dudes. People who we thought were role models. Yeah, that's my man. But didn't do it. As soon as he do such and such, you nah. Well, y'all need to stop talking about the man. Y'all go taking another black man down. How are we taking him down? This is what they're saying about what he did. So we're making our decisions, our choice, and about what he based on that, right? Listen, we're 7 minutes over the time. But listen, y'all could be doing anything else on a Saturday morning than sitting here listening to my damn mouth. But as always, I appreciate all the support. Oh, Sheila, good to see you, girl. I'm seeing your pictures, girl. You look happy. And oh, hey man, you're a good dad, man. Appreciate you. You know, you was always the right hand of Aunt Rose, man. It's always your right hand, man. Miss Aunt Rose, you know. Hey man, but she's still here. Yeah, just miss the physical presence of her. Aunt Rose is still here, right? Well, I just realized you got Darlene, you got Sheila, Girl Mom. If y'all know who Girl Mom for Life is, if y'all can see her, that's my soon-to-be fifth wife. Yeah, I say it proudly because she is the fine one. She's the only one. She's the one. She's the one. She's the one. But it's all family right here. I'm looking at on these names that are down here. All family. But yeah, just take a look at what I suggested. 30 minutes. All I'm telling you is 30 minutes. And then post. When you post, right? When this show posts, I want you to post what the outcome was after those 30 minutes. That 30-minute exercise. 11 o'clock. Do nothing else. Go on your social media feeds like you normally do. And from 11 to 11:30, just go through your feeds. 11:30, put it down. If you can, I know it's hard. Walk away. Go to the door. Sit on the porch. And look at what's in your head. And look at what you're feeling in that moment. That's the power of propaganda. That's the power. That's the power of propaganda. Yeah, it's deep, man. You know, so many things that we think is. I had this. I don't know what happened to it. You know, we should be becoming smarter. We should be operating at a different level of intellect and maturity when we get to a certain stage in life. Man, listen, these people is vicious, and it's a whole lot of people who have their hands in it. It's a whole lot of people who have their hands in our lives, who make decisions for us, who influence our thinking and what it is that we do every day. I'll see y'all next Saturday, hopefully 9 a.m. for another episode of Daddy's Right Here Live. In the background, you're listening to Bottom Feeder.
In front of the camera, straight in the beat.
Media propaganda blitz that just renegade.
They're waving to the crowd,
Spewing empty promises. The applause is allowed. Damn, you still fall for this. It's a dog and pony show.
threatening the road.
Donkeys and elephants, a three-ring circus, rope a dope. They've lured us in, hook, line, and sinker. They only want followers, not independent thinkers.
Political leaders, sweet bottom feeders, men who are on their faces are two-tone. Political leaders,
Sweet bottom feeders, men who are on their faces are two-tone. Their faces are two-tone. Up and away, superheroes for many, saviors for some, a taker of any. They appear distinguished, the one with sinister toys. Their souls distinguished, their minds destroyed. For you against you, all in the same breath. With us against us, it's a loyalty litmus test.
patriotism,
Dictator infusion, schizoid prism, it's a democracy illusion.
political leaders, sweet bottom feeders, men who are on their faces are two-tone. Political leaders, sweet bottom feeders, men who are on their faces are two-tone. Their faces are two-tone.
Make sure you check us out at AlimForYou.net, ALIM for the letter U.net. Check it out in the banner. Check out our merchandise. Man, it's the time. It's the season. Time to go shop and get that stuff, man. Right? If you haven't checked out any of my music, it's available on all music streaming platforms from 1921 to date. Let's have it.
They call it a chamber.
Alim for you.
Believers of the manger.
In God they trust not, fallen angel, no stranger. In it till they die, from their seats they will cry.
To our faces, telling lies. They're complicit, no surprise. The ceiling is high.
They think the same of you and I. What they call woke is a politicized form of divide.
All lives,
No matter, just listen to the idle chatter. They have it in plain sight because they fear the smoke and splatter. Political leaders,
sweet bottom feeders, men who are on their faces are two-tone. Political leaders, sweet bottom feeders, men who are on their faces are two-tone. Their faces are two-tone. The body count is growing
from the propaganda they're sowing.
They're hiding the hand.
Want to keep you not knowing.
Peace seems to come through war.
But war doesn't bring peace.
Residual effects are an
Intermittent release.
They think you'll be called. Then they'll
Call one for you. Presenting arms as though they adore you.
They're journalistic in nature.
Maturation miss.
They turn the other cheek and receive the Judas kiss. Political leaders, sweet bottom feeders, men who are on their faces are hard to turn. Political leaders, sweet bottom.
Well, that went off by itself. But anywho, listen, thank you all for tuning in. I'm your host, as always, Sabir Aleem. Make sure you check us out at aleemforyou.net. We have everything from socks, coffee mugs, sweatsuits, women's dresses, skirts, shower curtains. Damn it, just go to the site, aleemforyou.net. Go listen, we undercut everybody's prices. Everybody's. They have the same product. We have better designs. Better designs. Our boots, they sell the same boot, the same product for $100. The same product, right, with their designs. We sell our products with the best designs, the most intricate designs, right? The same product. Merchandise. Our merchandise is better than anybody's else. Our boots, $45. Yeah, custom design boots. You can get the jackets, to match in some cases. We got polo type shirts, men's collared dress shirts, short sleeves. You got to check out the new collection of the Uglies collection. That's predicated on the ugly sweater concept. These look, listen to what I'm telling you. You will see these zip up hoodies and swear they're coats. They're so intricately designed, and the designs that's on them, the finish that's put onto them is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. aleemforyou.net. Listen, and if you forget, just type Sabir Aleem in your search, your Google search, and you'll find the product. Listen to what I'm telling you. Nobody is putting out the quality of merchandise that we're putting out. Nobody has designs that are going to beat us. Y'all keep spending your money on these tumblers that you keep finding in your feed, being sold by people who don't care nothing about you, who don't care about you being a repeat customer, who don't know anything about you, who don't care to know anything about you, right? We care. Aleem is a family name. It's a family business. We want to be in your family. We want you to be part of our family. Look at our work. Look at the detail in the work and compare it to anything else that you so desire to buy. I'm telling you, I stand by that. I stand by that name. I stand by what it is that we do. aleemforyou.net. Check it out. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'm your host, as always, Sabir Aleem. It's time.